Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to today's lecture. So today we are going to cover all the topics, questions on all the topics, integrated case studies, case scenarios, and we'll be discussing in detail, the questions and the practical scenario, just like the way they are going to come in the exam. Plus, we will be discussing how to attempt for a question, some basic tips on those, the way we discussed in the last lecture. Okay, and we'll continue that for in today's lecture also. I hope you guys are ready with your queries. You guys are ready with your questions, so that if you take the benefit of asking the queries, questions, your doubts. Trust me, it will really help you in the exam also in preparation, and it will enhance your understanding of the topic. Okay, so let's start. Good morning, Sumit. Good morning, Viraj. Okay, so let's start with today's first question. So we'll start with the MCQs, then integrated case scenario, and then we'll continue with that. So the first question for today, Mr. Karthik, a practicing chartered accountant, was engaged in conducting statutory audits, data privacy assessment, and other trade compliance risk assessment for his clients. As a result, he had good knowledge of the laws and regulations applicable to the entity operating in digital space. In 2022, some of the clients approached him and asked him to share his knowledge and guide them in which technology company they should invest in. Mr. Karthik, considering their requests, and started providing paid advisory regarding the investment in technology and fintech sector stock. By the end of FY22, Mr. Karthik's client made a good amount of profit based on the advice provided by Mr. Karthik. The overall income earned by Mr. Karthik is mentioned below. Client name, okay, these are the various clients: statutory audit service fee, other advisory service fee, investment advisory service fee. So he received 750, 3,45,000 from statutory audit, whereas he received 6,57,000 from other advisory, and on one of the place he has received 236, 675, and 1,250 from the investment advisory. So he has received investment advisory, statutory audit service fee, and other advisory service fee. You need to guide whether Mr. Karthik can do so. Is Mr. Karthik allowed to provide such services? What do you think, guys? Is Mr. Karthik allowed to provide such services? You have options in front of you. You can select one appropriate option. Come on, guys. Do you think Mr. Karthik is allowed to do so? If yes, we need to select appropriate option. If no, then accordingly we need to select appropriate option. Which option you will prefer? Come on, guys. Which option you will choose? Is Mr. Karthik allowed here or not? Okay, good Sumit, good Janvi, very good. Come on guys, quickly. Whether Mr. Karthik is allowed or not. In exam, you will have limited time to answer the question. Okay, so within the time frame, you need to answer the question and you need to then, provide the details. Okay, so this particular question is based on two things. Number one, section 144 of the Companies Act. Number two, with respect to the definition of management consultancy service, which is, also specified under further deemed to be in practice. So you need to see in conjunction with both. Okay. So if you see section 224 of the Chartered Accountants Act over there, the the services that are resolved, that they are permitted for a chartered accountant. Okay, the expression of management consultancy and other services. There is a list for that. Plus, you need to apply section 144 in conjunction with that. Come on quickly, guys. Okay. So basically, section 144 of the Companies Act. If we talk about section 144 purely of the Companies Act, what it says, it provides a restriction on the auditor to not to render certain services. Okay, which includes one of the investment advisory service too. Here, Mr. Karthik is providing investment advisory service to his audit clients. Those are the companies, and hence that is not permitted by section 144. Let's read the options which are given here. Mr. Karthik is allowed to provide investment advisory service to his client under section 144 of the Companies Act 2013. Hence, Mr. Karthik is not liable for professional misconduct. That is not appearing correct because he is not allowed under section 144. So that's a wrong answer. You can eliminate, the wrong answers, the wrong options by, correlating with the particular provision. Mr. Karthik cannot provide investment advisory service directly, indirectly to the company or to holding company or subsidiary company as per 144. Moreover, chartered accountant practice is not permitted to render any service which is outside the scope of the approved management consultancy service. This appears to be correct. Let's see further. Mr. Karthik can provide investment advisory service directly or indirectly to the company or its holding company or subsidiary company as per section 144 up to rupees 50 lakh in a calendar year. That is wrong. There is no such limit. So you can eliminate this also. The D1, again, it provides a limit of 5 lakh, but there is no such limit available in the section itself. That's why it's also incorrect. So by default, whatever left is your correct answer. And actually, it is the correct answer because 144 doesn't allow you to render the service. Any doubt? So with respect to one of the scenario where there is a 20% criteria with respect to non-audit fee. Okay. Very good question and very good correlation with respect to that particular topic. Now, what is that particular requirement when the non-audit fee is more than 20% one? What is required to be? Will that case or will that scenario be triggered over here? So there was an audit fee provision in the Code of Ethics. Okay, that was recently announced. Okay, made applicable. Do you think that will be applicable in the current scenario? Or the 20% criteria will be applicable in current scenario or not? What do you think? Do you think the 20% scenario will be applicable here? Come on, guys. Do you think that 20% will be applicable over here? Good, Sumit. Very good. Good, Janvi. Yes, there is a requirement. So there is a requirement in section 410 of the Code of Ethics with respect to the fees. Remember something we discussed in the professional ethics? Do you think that will be applicable over here? Now, that will not be applicable over here. The requirement that is listed in the 410 will not be applicable over here. Reason because that is only a reporting requirement. If you read that particular provisions, you will understand there are two types of categories of the entities for all the audit clients and for audit clients where public are not are not public interest entities, PIE. So for all the audit clients, if there is, there are some reporting requirements that is there, but the fees one for the audit client that are not public interest entities, the limit is 40. And for where the public interest entity is there, the limit is 20%. But that is to only with the reporting. If the total gross professional fees from that client and its related related entities represents more than the 20% of the total fee received by the firm, okay, more than the 20% of the total fees received by the firm from expressing the opinion on the financial statement of the client. In that case, the firm is required to disclose the fact to the institute. Here, there is a disclosure requirement which does not prevent from delivering the service. Only a disclosure is there. Same way in the current case, first of all, section 144 is triggered. You cannot deliver the service. If you cannot deliver the service, there will be no reporting requirement in the picture. I hope I'm clear. Again, so the requirement is with respect to reporting in the Code of Ethics, section 410. Okay, but there is no requirement with respect to the not taking the you're not allowing the services, other services than the audit services. Over there is only reporting requirement. If there is a reporting requirement, it will be triggered once it is allowed. But section 144 itself prevent you from providing these kind of service. So the reporting requirement doesn't come into the picture. I hope I'm clear. Any doubt? Okay, let's move to the next one. A branch of ABC Bank was having three staffs, one cashier, one officer, and one manager. The cashier was responsible for signing of cash slips, passing entries for cash withdrawals, providing cash to customers. You as a bank's branch auditor decide to verify the cash withdrawal transaction, and after testing, you decide to part the control over the cash process. Also, there were no observations identified during the testing. Moreover, as the process is present in the branch, work performed by cashier is not monitored on the daily basis. However, quarterly basis, certain test checks are performed by an officer of branch. Internal audit team reported the state control over the process as operating. You are required to guide whether the reporting of the state control by internal audit team is correct or not. So this is a particular case scenario where there is a cashier, there are three staff, one cashier, one officer, and one manager. There are certain duties which are being performed by the cashier. Okay. There are some certain test checks which are being performed by the internal audit team. Internal audit team has passed the control and reported as a operating. You as a branch, bank's branch auditor decided to verify these particular transaction. Okay. You also decide to pass the control. Now, you are required to comment whether the passing of control, whether the reporting, whether that, the reporting that the control has been passed, okay, is correct or not. So here are your options. The control over the cash process should be reported as operating because no issues were identified. The control over the cash process should be reported as a test, operating as a test checks are being performed by the officer on quarterly basis. The control should be reported as a non-operating because segregation of duties was not present with respect to the processing of payment transaction by cashier. The control should be reported as a non-operating as the manager of the branch should have at least two officers for test check of the cash transaction and for cash process. What do you think is the correct answer? What do you think is the correct answer? If you want to answer this type of questions, try. If you are not able, if you are not sure with the correct answer, try to identify the wrong answers, eliminate them, and then the leftover options will be your correct answer. So try to identify the wrong answer, eliminate them, and then select the correct answer. Good, Sumit. Good, Namrata. Good, Janvi. Come on, guys, quickly. This is pretty much easy. Okay, so let's see the answer. The control over the cash process should be reported. First option, the control over cash process should be reported as the operating because no issues were identified during the testing of controls. Now, if you see in the question, there are two things which are given. You need to focus upon. One, that the cash process. Okay, so the cashier was responsible for signing off the cash slips. He was responsible for signing of the cash slips, passing entries for cash withdrawals, and providing cash to the customers. So he was doing three things: signing of cash slips, passing of entries for the cash withdrawals, and providing cash to customers. Now, if a cashier is also required to, if a cashier is allowed to sign a cash slip and pass entry for the cash withdrawal, plus he is allowed to handle the cash, then there is no segregation of duty present, first of all. From this point, I can say there is no SOD. Okay. Then rest of the things are they have performed the tests and there was no observation identified. But there was one more thing, that there were no observations, okay, identified during the testing. Moreover, work performed by the cashier is not monitored on daily basis. It was monitored on quarterly basis based on certain check. So daily basis or also monitoring is not being performed. So if you go over here in the answers, so I know there is a SOD issue. The control should not or process should not be reported operating. The first option is control over the cash process should be reported as operating because no issues were identified. That is incorrect because we have identified the issue of SOD. Segregation of duty where I say SOD. Second, the control over the cash process should be reported operating as the test checks are being performed by the officer on quarterly basis, but it is not being monitored on a daily basis. So quarterly basis test checks are not relevant over here to decide whether the control is performing or is being operated effectively or not. So when I will say a control is operating effectively when I test the control throughout the year with taking the samples which are spread across the year, not only on quarterly basis. So again, this is not the correct answer. The control should be reported as non-operating because segregation of duties were not present with respect to the processing of payment transaction by cashier. That appears to be correct. Third one or fourth one, the control should be reported as non-operating as the manager of the branch should have at least 2 officers for tax checks of cash transaction and for cash processes. There is no such requirement. So that is not correct. So by default, your correct answer will be C. Absolutely correct, Jarvi. So accordingly, the relevant answer and the correct answer will be C in the current case. Clear? Any doubt? Okay, let's proceed to the next one. K Fintech Private Limited was having paid up share capital in reserve of 1,50,000, 150 lakhs, including paid up share capital of 90 lakhs at the end of FY 2021. During FY 2021, K Fintech borrowed 80 lakhs from the bank A and 140 lakhs from bank B. The amount borrowed from bank B was repaid during the same financial year. For FY 2021, the turnover was 1,850 lakhs. Select the appropriate option with respect to the applicability of Caro 2020. First of all, without going to the option, decide whether the Caro is applicable or not. For such kind of scenarios, I'll suggest you decide by applying the provision whether the Caro is applicable or not, and then you go to the option. So whether Caro is applicable in the current case. Whether the Caro is applicable in the current case. Good, Janvi. There is an exemption given to the private limited companies in Caro. Do you think this will be applicable in the current case? Whether the exemption will be applicable or it will be Caro will be applicable. Now let's look at the options also. Sometimes you can get some clues from options also. Caro 2020, so the option number 1, Caro 2020 will be applicable as a paid up share capital and reserve exceed the limit specified in the order, that is 1 CR. So Caro 2020 will be applicable because the paid up share capital and reserve exceed the limit of 1 CR. Okay. Caro 2020 will be applicable as a company has paid up capital and reserve exceeding the limit specified in the order, that is 1 CR, and total borrowing exceeded 1 CR rupees from any bank or financial institution at any point during the year. Okay. So option C, Caro 2020 will not be applicable as a company has repaid the amount borrowed from the bank B before the end of financial year, and hence the borrowings do not exceed the specified limit of the order. Fine. Option D, Caro 2020 will not be applicable as a company falls under the exemption provided in the order for small company as per 285 of the Companies Act. So what do you think is the correct option? A, B, C, D. Which one? Which one do you think is the correct option over here? Now, sometimes you can get clues from your answer also. Absolutely correct, Sumit. Very good. Come on, guys. What is the correct option over here? What do you think is the correct option over here? You won't be having that much time in exam. Okay, just So for each of the MCQ, I don't think so you should invest more than a minute or two, because the rest of paper is there where you need to write the exam. But having said that, you need to think and read the question properly. You need to read the full question properly. Then only you should answer the question. Okay, tell me whether A is the correct answer, or B, or C, or D. Which is the correct option over here? Okay, let us see. So there is an exemption provided to private limited companies, which talks about, where the CARO 2020 is not applicable. So private limited exemption, which talks about three things: P1, B1, and R10. That is paid up share capital less than 1 CR, debt less than 1 CR, and okay, your turnover or revenue less than 10 CR. That is the private limited exemption. However, before coming to this exemption, there is another one. Before I go to this exemption, there is another exemption. Remember something in my previous lecture, BIOS 8, that is banking, insurance, OPC, small company, and section 8. So when I say small company, so the definition of small company, section 285, section 2, subsection 85 of the Companies Act, where small company means a company other than the public company, paid up share capital 4 CR, less than 4 CR, and turnover less than 40 CR. My paid up share capital is 150 over here, which is less than 4 CR. My turnover less than 40 CR, which is 18 CR here, which is less than 40 CR. Again, not a public limited company. This is K Fintech, private limited, not a public company. So this is other than public company. If that is the case, all the conditions of small companies are being satisfied, and accordingly, my answer will be it's a small company. It has the exemption of the small company, not the exemption of the private limited exemption. Although the paid up share capital, the debt are exceeding the limits of the private limited exemption, but still the company will enjoy the exemption of small company from CARO. So sometimes I was talking about the clue that you can get from the answer itself. If you read all the options, you will come across something like, in option D, small company as per 285. It might trigger, okay, there could be a chance of small company, this company being a small company. That's why it's necessary that you read all the answers, all the options, okay, before answering the any question. It might give you some hint that, okay, you need to think in that direction also, other than, the way you are thinking as of now. So that's why better read the question thoroughly, read the options thoroughly, and then you can work out the answer and give the answer. Okay, so now I know it's a small company. I do not need to perform any elimination or something, because directly I know it has satisfied the criteria of small company, and I can go directly and select the answer D. Janvi, no, because the fintech is only in the name. We do not know what is the object of the company, what is the company doing. So as of now, we cannot classify the company as a financial company or NBFC such thing. Okay. Hence, without the object, it's it will be based on assumption, which is not appropriate here. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? No? Let's proceed to the next question then. ABC company were appointed to conduct a forensic audit of XYZ Limited. After successfully conducting the forensic audit, ABC and company prepared its report for the appointing authority. We have already covered this question. I think we can skip this one. Okay, let's cover this one. ADI Limited is engaged in the business of providing management consultancy service and have been in the operation for last 15 years. The company's financial reporting process is very good and statutory auditor always issued clean report on the audit of the financial statement of the company. The company auditors were required to be rotated due to mandatory audit rotation requirements of the Companies Act 2013. R&J Associates, a firm of chartered accountants, was appointed as the new auditor of the company for a term of 5 years and have to start their first audit for the financial year ended 31st March 2022. The auditors has a detailed and clear discussion with the management that they will perform their audit procedures in respect of the opening balances along with the audit procedures for the financial year ended on 31st March 2022. Management agreed that agreed with that, and the audit was completed as per the plan. The auditors did not have any significant observation, and hence they communicated to the management that their report will be clean. Management was quite happy with this and also requested the auditor to share the draft report before issuing the final report. In the draft report, all the particulars were fine except other matter paragraph, wherein the auditors gave the reference that the financial statement for the comparative year ended 31st March 2021 was audited by another auditor. Management asked the audit team to remove this paragraph as auditors has already performed all the audit procedures on opening balances also, but the auditor did not agree with the management. Please advise the auditor or the management, whosoever is incorrect with the right guidance. Now you tell me, mentioning this detail in the other matter paragraph is appropriate or not? Whether mentioning this detail that they have relied the financial statement for the comparative year ended 31st March 2021 were audited by another auditor is appropriate or not? Come on, guys. What do you think? Do you think this reporting is appropriate or not? Is this the correct reporting? Okay, if your guys, whatever your answer is, I want with reason. Why do you think it's a correct reporting? Based on which standard do you think it's a correct reporting? Or where it is there? As per which standard do you think this is the correct reporting? Okay, good, Sumit. I'll give you three options. Okay, with respect to the standard where it is specified. Option number one, SA 510. Second, SA 705. Third, SA 706. Fourth, SA 710. Where we have discussed this particular in detail. In which standard we have discussed this. Come on, guys. What do you think? From where this requirement is coming? Good, Sumit. Good, Namrata. Good, Janvi. Good. So, as you guys mostly pointed out that this requirement is coming from SA 510 and SA 706. But factually that is incorrect. I'll tell you what. SA 510 talks about how to audit opening balances. Okay. SA 706 specifies what is other matter paragraph. So 510 talks about how to audit opening balances. SA 706 specifies what is other matter paragraph. The actual requirement is coming from SA 710. That is where your corresponding figures and comparative financial statement are reported. So the requirements with respect to the corresponding figures and comparative financial statement, over there if you see paragraph 30 or paragraph 17 of the standard, which specifically says if the financial statement of the prior period were audited by a procedural auditor, in addition to expressing the opinion on the current period's financial statement, the auditor shall state in the other matter paragraph that the financial statement of the prior period were audited by the procedural auditor, the type of the opinion expressed by the procedural auditor, and if the opinion was modified, the reason thereof, and the date of the report. These are the three things that you are required to specify as per SA 710, not 706 or 510. So the actual requirement is coming from SA 710. Clear? Now we know this requirement is there. Okay. We know the answer is, what is the answer? We can directly read the options and, can decide based on that. The container juice management is valid. After performing all the audit procedures, an auditor should not pass on the responsibility to another auditor by including such a reference in the audit report, which is incorrect. This is required as per SA 10, 710. The auditor has two options, either to perform audit procedures on opening balance or give such reference of another auditor in the report. An auditor cannot mix up things like this and has, like this auditor has done. it is completely unprofessional. That is also incorrect. In the given situation, if the auditor wants to give such reference, the management and the auditor should have taken approval from the previous auditor at the time of appointment of new auditor. In this case, it cannot be done. Again, this is incorrect. So by default, the third D option, that the auditor is absolutely correct, because this is required as per asset and that is required to be included, which is your option D. So option D is correct. But why it is correct? Because you have the requirement which is enumerated in asset 710. I hope I'm clear. Any doubt? Now you might be thinking why it is necessary. My answer is anyway still correct. If I select D based on 510 and 706, what does it matter? Why does it make the difference? So the difference will make if this question was asked with respect to the not an MCQ but a descriptive one. Over there, you will quote, let's say, for example, you might quote, 510, 706, but the relevant provision is lying in, 710. This will be like, okay, for example, I want to quote appointment of the auditor section 139, but I don't know, like, instead of 139, I quote 143. I'll say, okay, what does it matter? And then it's a company set only. Somewhere other, here or other, it's lying in the company set. So that will be the same scenario. It will be not be correct, appropriate. It will not be appropriate by quoting incorrect or or incorrect require section or standard or where the actual provision is lying. Okay, I hope I'm clear. So again, SA 710 provides that the auditor should disclose in the other matter paragraph. SA 710 specifies this, not 706, not 510. 510 talks about how to audit the opening balances when you are required to do. SA 706 explains the emphasis of matter paragraph and other matter paragraph and what are those paragraphs, why and for what reason those can be used. Those paragraphs can be used. But when we go to SA 710, that SA specifically puts this requirement that you need to disclose this matter and other things along with this matter. Not only the audit report that was issued by the preceding auditor, but the type of opinion, the date of report also is required to be mentioned in this paragraph. Okay, so reporting in my audit report with respect to the preceding auditor and his opinion, his date of audit report as per SA 710. Okay. Any doubts, guys? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. Good, Sumit. Yes. Now let's move to the next one. 7 number. Pretty simple, short, but let's see. The following inherent limitation in an audit affects the auditor's ability to detect the material misstatement except Which of the following inherent limitation in an audit affects the auditor's ability to detect the material misstatement? What do you think? Pretty simple, straightforward. Which of the following inherent limitation in an audit affects the auditor's ability to detect material misstatement except? Good, Janvi. Good, Sumit. Sometimes single liners are more difficult to answer. Come on, guys. What is the correct option over here? Good, Namrata. The following inherent limitation in an audit affects the auditor's ability to detect the material misstatement except. Now, if you want to answer such type of questions, first of all, see, start building a correlation. It will be very easy for you to answer the question. So if I want to build up a correlation, so there is something inherent limitation being talked about, plus talked about audit and affects the auditor's ability. Okay, so I'm basically talking about something because let's say, for example, I am not sure what is the answer. Hypothetically, okay, I understand. I decide, okay, I don't know the answer, but there is something with respect to discussed about audit, auditor's ability. Okay, audit procedures. Something is being discussed about audit, audit ability, audit procedure based on the keywords which I'm taking from the question. That is fine. Now, if that is the case, the last word of this particular question, except. So accept this. This is fine. Accept this. What could be, if you go other than the audit, that would be your answer. Okay. Now, testing and sampling. Testing and sampling is part of my audit procedure. It cannot be except that. Okay, fine. Audit process premeditated by judgment. So it's auditor's ability. Again, I need something except audit, audit ability, auditor's ability and audit procedure. I need except audit, auditor's ability and audit procedure. But testing sampling is a part of audit procedure. Audit process premeditated by judgment. Again, auditor's ability. Audit evidence, again related to audit. I need something which is except audit or except these three. Corporate governance is neither a part of audit, neither a part of audit abilities, neither a part of audit procedure. It's all together which directly falls into the category of except. Understand? Now, what is asked? This is a correlation wise. Now, what is asked in the question? In the question itself asked is, following are the inherent limitation in an audit that affects the auditor ability to detect the material misstatement. Now, if there is an inherent limitation with the testing and sampling, yes, it will affect the auditor's ability. I need to answer except like area which affects the auditor ability, which do not affects the auditor ability. If there is an inherent limitation in that area, it should not affect the auditor's ability. The word except is working as a negative one. It's changing the meaning. Audit process premeditated by judgment. Yes, it affects the auditor's ability to detect the material misstatement. I need to select an answer which is except, like which does not affect. Okay. Third, poor corporate governance. Corporate governance will not affect the auditor's ability to detect material misstatement. Poor corporate governance is the risk I need, and rather it will give you and it will help you give you more material misstatement if there is a poor corporate governance. So it has not really, it has no relation with the auditor's ability to detect material misstatement. Again, if there is an inherent limitation with respect to the audit evidence, yes, it will impact auditor's ability, but I need to give an answer which is except, which does not impact the auditor's ability. And the correct answer will be B or C, poor corporate governance. Not A because it affects, B affects, D affects. C does not affect. So you have seen with the answer with the, the normal way with the correlation way. So this is how you can, find the answers. If your answer is D or B, that is incorrect. The correct answer is C, poor corporate governance. Any doubt? No. The question is, the following inherent limitation is an audit affects the auditor ability to detect the material misstatement except, means except which, which is the area which does not affect. If there is an inherent limitation in that area, it will not affect the auditor's ability. Now, if there is an inherent limitation in the audit evidence, means I'm not able to get appropriate audit evidence. It will affect my ability to detect material misstatement because I do not have appropriate audit evidence. So I need to find an area where if there is an inherent limitation, okay, it will not affect auditor's ability. Corporate governance, poor corporate governance is such an area where if there is an inherent limitation, doesn't make any difference to me because it will not affect my ability to detect material misstatement. But if there is an inherent limitation with respect to audit evidence, testing sampling, audit process, premeditated by judgment, yes, it will affect my ability to detect material misstatement. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? In B, it's not the court judgment. It is permitted by the judgment, means affected by the judgment. Some judgment pre-notion I already have with me. For example, I'm since start of the audit, I'm thinking, no, there is a fraud. There is a fraud in this particular area. There is something judgment which has affected my audit process. That is something being talked about in B. Any doubt? Okay, let's proceed further. Next question. Vidushan Company is an auditor of JIN Insurance Company. The insurance company is also involved in reinsurance business and necessary provisions for reinsurance premium has been made in the books of accounts. the insurance company is into a reinsurance whereby their contract relates to one particular risk and is expressed in the reinsurance policy. Each transaction is negotiated individually and party has a free choice for the insurance company, that is for the insurance company to offer and the reinsurance to accept. What kind of reinsurance business is the insurance company into? So what is the kind of insurance business do you think it is? Come on, guys. What kind of insurance business you think it is? Come on, quickly. It's pretty simple. What kind of insurance do you think it is? So basically, we are talking about the reinsurance over here, wherein Vidush and company is the auditor of the insurance company. The company is involved into reinsurance business. They have also provided necessary provision for the reinsurance premium. Now here, the insurance company into the reinsurance whereby the contract relates to one particular risk. Again, contract relates to one particular risk and is expressed in the reinsurance policy. Each transaction is negotiated individually and each party has a free choice. That is the insurance company to offer and the reinsurance to accept. Good, Sumit. Good, Janvi, Namrata. So basically, just it will be based on the type of the insurance. You can say reinsurance. The answer will be on the type of reinsurance. Okay. Here, the correct answer basically is answer number A. It's a facultative reinsurance. It's a basically definition of facultative reinsurance, wherein coverage is purchased by the primary insurer to cover a single risk. Okay, and they have this option. So this is the facultative reinsurance. Basically, the basic definition is given. The correct answer will be option A, not the B, not C, not D. Clear? Any doubt? Correct, Sumit. So D and B are not the correct option. Option A is the correct one. So basically, it's a definition itself. If you see the regulations which are there, IRDA regulations, General Insurance and Reinsurance Regulations, 2016. Okay, over there is a definition. What is the facultative means? It means the reinsurance of a part of or a single policy in which it's the session is negotiated separately, and that the reinsurer and insurer has the option of accepting or declining each individual submission. So that is the definition itself, which is given in the regulation. Okay, so based on the definition, you can say this will be the answer. Just provide you the section, or sorry, rather than the regulation. To G of IRDAI General Insurance Reinsurance Regulations 2016. Okay, so basically it's a definition one, and that will be the answer. Why? Because it's a definition. The definition of facultative reinsurance, which is given in the regulation itself. Any doubt? Okay, let's proceed further. If no doubt. SIDH Private Limited uses in-house developed application for system for accounting, application system for accounting. The auditor observed that the user ID and the password is mandatory to access the application system and felt that this is a good control. What type of control is this? Pretty simple. So what kind of type of control is this? So the auditor observed that the user ID and password is mandatory to access the application system. Which kind of control do you think it is? User ID, password. Inputting, providing user ID and password is mandatory to access the application. Now, which kind of control do you think it is? Given option are IT general control, application control, detective control, or preventive control. Whatever is your answer, I want with reason. Namrata, Janvi, Sumit, with reason. Why that control? Come on, guys. Why this control? Okay. Good, Sumit. Okay. Let's discuss the answer here. Now, IT general control. IT general controls are ITGC, which are on the applications around, which are required to application function correctly. They are the general controls. They can be spread to all the applications or a larger group of applications. Okay. So if a control is spread to a larger group of applications, I can say, okay, it's a IT general control, ITGC. In the current case, it's a user ID, password to mandatory access the application. I do not know about other systems. I do not know whether the same user ID password is there, whether there is a system, another system where the user ID password is required or not. I do not know. So I cannot comment on the ITGC one. So this is not the correct option. Application control is the control which helps the application to function correctly. ID password is something which is related to the user and user access. It is not with respect to the application to function correctly. Again, it's not an application control. C, detective control. Detective controls are controls which detect any misstatement or any risk which is, for which the control is designed. So they detect when something has happened after happening of a particular transaction or a risk. After occurrence of a risk, they detect that particular thing. ID password, till the time you do not enter correct ID password, you cannot access the system. Here the risk is unauthorized access. Okay. So for example, if I talk about the risk of this particular control, whatever type of control could be. Okay. Unauthorized access to system. This is the risk, and to prevent this risk, this control has been implemented. Now, detective control are the controls which detect the risk once they occur. Okay. So if there is an unauthorized access to the system which has already happened, and if a control is detecting that, then it will be a detective control. But till the time you do not enter ID password, you will not have an access, and it prevents unauthorized access rather than the detecting unauthorized access. Hence, C is not the correct option. The correct option is D, because it is preventing the unauthorized access rather than detecting. Okay, so that's why it's not a detective control, it's a preventer control. Any doubts? Any doubts? Okay, so there is one question with respect to difference between gross negligence and ordinary negligence. Okay, now this particular question is based on the professional ethics, code of ethics. Okay, now you might be asking in that sense, if I understood correctly, gross negligence or professional negligence or other, ordinary negligence. Now, when I talk about the term gross negligence, it itself specifies that, okay, a member is grossly negligent. Basically, grossly means in a huge extent. Okay. Now, with respect to whatever transaction, whatever, the problem or whatever based on which he has been held guilty of professional misconduct, in that case, the particular, the reason, transaction or whatever it is, will decide whether the person is, the chartered accountant is a grossly negligent or not. So, if a chartered accountant is not exercising reasonable degree of diligence which is expected from him. Okay, and if he miss out that particular reasonable degree of diligence or care or skill to be applied which is required from him, in that case the chartered accountant can be held guilty of being professional misconduct, being grossly negligent. Okay, there are various case laws, various orders or judgment where this has been defined, why he has been guilty of professional misconduct, why he has been guilty of professional misconduct being a grossly negligent, because this particular term grossly negligent specified, okay, you were responsible for this particular area, but when you were supposed to provide diligence, you were supposed to take care, you were supposed to exercise skill, care, caution, and you did not exercise. Yes, you were negligent, and because of that, the term grossly negligent is there. Now, when I say grossly with the negligence, it is of such nature, material nature, that the negligence is of such material nature which makes the term grossly negligent. So you need to see from that particular point of view what kind of negligence it is, whether it is a material nature, significant in nature with respect to whatever issue it is. If yes, then yes, it will become a grossly negligent. So basically, there is a judgment of Karnataka High Court, okay, in case of B. Shantaram Rao, where the term negligence, whether it's a grossly negligent or not, it's explained in very much detail. Okay, so what is the duty of the auditor and what auditor is required to do? You can refer to that judgment also. But again, auditor is required to be reasonably cautious and careful. He is required to exercise skill, care, and caution with a reasonable, competent, and careful, skill. And if he does not perform his duties, if he does not exercise skill, care, and caution, okay, and the negligence that is resulting from that not exercising is significant and material with respect to whatever the subject matter it is, yes, he will be held grossly negligent. Again, same can be applied to that particular, liability of auditor also. If you have any specific section to refer, do let me know. I'll answer in that point of view. Any further doubts? If you are referring to any specific section with respect to the grossly negligent, do let me know. I'll answer in that point of view. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? There are two decisions again. Okay, so there are two decisions on the basis of which you can understand the term gross negligence for the from a point of view of misconduct, which are also listed in the study material. Case of Deputy Secretary of Government of India versus S.N. Dasgupta. Okay, there it's in detail specified what was the scenario. And the another one which I told you. Okay, so and another case is Control of Insurance versus H.C. Das. You can refer to both these cases where you can understand the term gross negligence. Okay. If no further doubts, let's proceed forward to the next question. Below is an extract from the list of supplier statement as on 31st March 2022, held by the company and corresponding payable ledgers balances at the same date, along with some commentary on the noted differences. So statement balance in thousand particularly, ship company 78,000, payables ledger balance 66,000. Lab company statement balance 235 means 2,35,000, and payable ledgers balance is 2,05,000. The difference in the balance of ship company is due to an invoice which is under dispute, to defective goods which were returned on 30th March 2022. Which of the following audit procedures should be carried out to confirm the balance owing to the ship company? 1. Review of post-year end credit notes for the evidence of acceptance of return. Pre-inspection, inspect pre-year end goods return note in respect of the items sent back to the supplier. Inspect post-year end cash book for evidence that the amount has been settled. So what procedures you will follow to verify the balance of ship company? 1, 2, 3. You can choose multiple, like fewer options: 1, 2, and 3, 1 and 3, 1 and 2, or 2 or 3. So what audit procedures should be carried out? The difference in the balance is due to an invoice which is under dispute, due to the defective goods which were returned on 31st March 2022. What procedures you will perform? What procedures you will perform to validate the balance of ship company? Come on, guys. Your option also A, B, C, D. What option you will select? Okay. Which procedures you will perform to verify the balance of difference in the balance of ship company? So you need to verify the difference in the balance of ship company. What procedures you will perform? Okay, good, Sumit. Come on, guys, quickly. You have this question for the 1 marks. Do not spend more than a minute or two. You have to give answer to the rest of the questions also. Good, Jadvi. Come on, guys, quickly. Which option you will select? What are the procedures that you will perform to verify the difference in the balance? So if you need to verify the difference in the balance, which procedures you will perform? Okay, let us see the answers. Now, if I want to verify the difference in the balance, first of all, what is the difference related to, and accordingly I will select my answer. Now the difference is related to the defective goods which are written. So some goods have been written. My answer will be related in relation to that only. Number one. So the first procedure which is given is review post year and credit notes for the evidence of acceptance of return. Yes, if I can verify the return has been done after the year and if I received any credit notes, okay, because there is a dispute on 30th March with respect to the goods return. So the company has returned, but there is a dispute going on. If after the year end, if I receive a credit note for evidencing the acceptance of the return, yes, it will validate the difference in the balance and it will be appropriate procedure. That is fine. Number two, inspect pre-year end goods return note in respect of the item sent back. Yes, from my side also, if I correlate the same with my return notes, okay, goods return notes, and if I validate, okay, the goods have been actually sent back, it will give me comfort that, okay, the difference in the balance relates to that only. Third number, inspect post year end cash book for evidence that the amount has been settled. Let's say, for example, after year end, after year end, I paid rupees 205,000, whatever it is, the balance. I paid this much amount. That does this means that this was the balance, or sorry, in current case, in case of Shubh, it is, let's say for example, in case of Shubh, I paid an amount equivalent to 66,000. Does that mean that this was the balance? Answer is no. Reason, because this could be part payment. This could be part payment. I do not know still that, this will not give me the comfort that I need to validate the balance. It could have happened that, okay, this is the case of dispute, I'll pay later on. Hence, this is not the correct procedure. The correct procedure will be to review the credit note after the year end and to review the goods written pre-year end. Reason, because pre-year end, because the goods were sent before the year end on 30th March. So 1 and 2 are the correct option. 1 and 2 procedures are the correct. So 1 and 2, 3, 3 is the wrong. This will be incorrect. 1 and 3. Post year end credit notes. Inspecting post year end cash book will not give me that comfort. Understood? Any doubts? Any doubt, guys? So by this way, you can literally correlate things and then can try to give the answer. Any doubts with respect to the answer this question or any of the question till now discussed? No? Okay. If no data, the Ashok ji, Sorry, shall we start? Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Okay, let's start the discussion again. Let's start this questions again. Okay. Now, the next part that I want to discuss here is the integrated case scenario. Okay. So let's discuss the integrated case scenario, and then we'll discuss the questions with respect to that. So, Mr. Paras has been appointed statutory auditor under Companies Act 2013 of DEMA Limited, a company engaged in manufacturing of range of products. DEMA Limited was also listed on NSE. Besides, he was also appointed to conduct audit under Section 44 AB of Income Tax Act. Mr. Chandra, relative of Mr. Paras, was involved in the business of trading stocks listed on NSE. During FY 21-22, Mr. Chandra performed the following trades. So you have the detail of trade, name of the stock, okay, over here, date of transaction, purchase, sale, purchase, sale, purchase, sale, market value, fair value. Thereafter, no transactions in the share of DEMA Limited was performed by Mr. Chandra during the year. Moreover, Mr. Paras identified a fraud related to misappropriation of cash amounting to 3 crore in the books of the company. In this fraud, procurement manager and payment managers were together involved. As per the sections of provision section 143.12, Mr. Paras reported the fraud to the audit committee within 7 days from the date of identification and asked audit committee to submit their response. Audit committee did not respond as they wanted to investigate this on further. In absence of any reply from the audit committee and understanding the nature of issue, Mr. Paras did not report this issue to anyone as it could impact negatively to the image of the company. Further, Mr. Paras made necessary changes in their audit procedure to the extent coverage of the procurement and payments area. After performing additional procedure over procurement and payment business process, Mr. Paras identified that the internal control over the said area are significantly deficient. Mr. Paras did not communicate this to find this findings with those charged with governance as he already reported about the fraud and the audit committee was investigating the same. Mr. Paras also identified the internal audit function reports directly to the management and do not have any direct communication with those charged with governance or any officer with the appropriate authority. Also, all the findings of internal audit function are first reported to the management and then to the management decides what to report to those charged with governance from the finding of internal audit function. At the end, Mr. Paras issued a qualified opinion and in his report, he mentioned the following paragraph under the head of basis of qualified opinion. The company has not disclosed the impact of pending litigation on its financial position in its statement. The impact assessed of pending litigation is 4.5 crore. During the audit, of fraud related to misappropriation of cash of 3 crore were identified in the books of company. The company has not made any provision as required under law or accounting standard for the material foreseeable loss on long-term contracts, including derivative contracts. During the year, as per the assessment performed by an expert, the amount of provision for material foreseen losses on long-term contracts was estimated at 7 crore, for which no provision was made. No other reference or reporting was made for these qualifications in the audit report. On the basis of the above mentioned facts, you are required to answer the following MCQs. Okay. Now, before we go to the MCQ, see, whenever you are trying to answer an integrated case scenario, I'll give you some tips, okay, which might help you, might be, it depends upon person to person how they look into that. What I used to do personally, okay, I used to highlight the paragraphs, what is the paragraph about, so that when the question comes, I can go to that paragraph and read the relevant lines again. So for example, this particular paragraph for me is introduction, and I could say, okay, there is a Mr. Chandra who is a relative trading stocks and Mr. Chandra performed following trades, could be related to appointment. So I can say, okay, whatever I will feel, I will write it down. Okay, could be related to appointment of auditor, introduction or appointment of auditor. Again, the same table is part of that. I could see, okay, this is with related to appointment of auditor. Fine. Second paragraph, there is something with related to fraud and something with relation to, if you see, Mr. Paras reported the fraud within 7 days and everything. So this is related to fraud and section 143.12. Fine. Third one. Again, this is related to fraud. What I read from, the basic understanding I have got. Okay. And communication to audit committee. If you see over here, Mr. Paras did not communicate. Try to, focus on areas which he has not done. So it will give you some keywords. So communication to audit committee. Those charged with governance or audit committee, whatever the scenario is. Communication to those charged with governance, audit committee, or and something which is related to the fraud, because still the fraud is there. Then fourth paragraph, I could understand, okay, this is with related to internal audit. Then fifth paragraph, this one is, I can see, okay, this is related to opinion and audit report. Okay. I have bifurcated all the paragraphs. When I will read, I'll just, mark it down in next to it. Like, okay, what is the scenario? What is this? What is that? So that later on, when I want to refer back, I can refer back easily. Okay. Now let us see the first question. First question is, kindly guide whether Mr. Paras is eligible to be appointed as the tax auditor of this particular limited under section 288 of Income Tax Act by selecting the appropriate option from below. Read the option always. Do not directly jump to the paragraph. Read the options and then jump to a paragraph. It might give you a clue where you need to look onto, just like small company case. Okay. As per section 288(2) of the Income Tax Act, read with 141(3) of the Companies Act, relative of Mr. Paras holding securities of market value of 1 lakh or more. Hence, Mr. Paras is not eligible to be appointed as a tax auditor. And Mr. Paras is not eligible to get appointed. I don't know about the debt. I need to go back and see, but as of now, okay, debt and security, something I can understand. Relative of Mr. Paras is a person who is competent to verify the return under section 139 and in accordance with the provision of section 140, and hence Mr. Paras is eligible to get appointed as the tax auditor. Again, competent to verify the return. So I could see this is related to security, debt, and verify return. Competent to verify return. Now I'll go back to the paragraph. See, when I read the paragraph, I know Mr. Chandra, relative of Mr. Paras, was involved in the business of trading stocks. So this is, yeah, matching with the security. But nowhere it is mentioned about the debt. Okay. So the debt option, I can directly say it is not relevant over here. So I'll cut it down. Not relevant. Now second, relative of Mr. Paras is a person competent to verify return. Again, this is not given in the question itself. There is no information about this. So I'll also, this is mark it down. This is not the case. Now 1 and 2. The only difference between 1 and 2, if you see, is with respect to market value and face value. Market value and face value. Okay. Now, which will decide your answer? Now here, the quantity has been given and you need to check with the date of appointment. Okay. So they have transacted something shares. Now you need to here apply the provision, remember the provision. You need to remember the provision over here. Whether it was a market value or is a face value. If you can remember the provision, then you can check the answer and give the correct answer. So what is the provision? whether the provision talks about relative holdings fair face value of the securities or market value of the securities. What do you think? What the provision says about? So see which provision I'm talking about over here. I'm talking about section 141(3) of the Companies Act plus section 288(2)(a) of Income Tax Act. Okay, same. Again, both are same. Sections are mentioned same in both of the cases. So whether it is face value or market value, what is the correct option? Am I required to check, calculate face value or market value? Good, Namrata, very good. Come on, guys. Face value, market value. Face value, market value. What should I refer with respect to the securities when I want to see the appointment of an auditor? What is the limit of the auditor's relative, or a relative of auditors with respect to the securities? Whether it's a face value limit or market value limit. Come on, guys. Whether it's a face value limit or market value limit. It is face value limit, not the market value of securities. The provision talks about the face value. Okay. If you read section 141, okay, which talks about the disqualification, that talks about face value of share, not the market value of share. For the relative, okay, so what provision says that holding security in the company or in holding company or subsidiary company, provided the relative may hold security in the company of face value not exceeding 1,000 rupees of such amount as may be prescribed, which is again the limit for the security which is prescribed is 1 lakh rupees. Okay. Now the word face value is used in the provision. If the word is face value is used, by default, I can cross it out this one. I can select this one directly because it's not a market value related thing. Answer is, option is by itself is incorrect. But still, if you want, you can check, okay, like other way around, you can calculate whether the person is holding the securities of more than 100 lakhs. If you see the face value is 10. And quantity C, like, okay, if I say purchase, like this is 90 minus plus minus. So if I total it out, 100, then 220, if I reduce with this, 140 or 150 shares. 150 shares into 10. Shares of 1500. Way less than the market value or way less than the 1 lakh limit. So there is no with respect to disqualification. So Mr. Paras is eligible because the face value of the shares does not exceed 1 lakh rupees as a tax auditor. So he is eligible to be appointed. Calculation will give you the answer. Plus, if you have read the options, by eliminating the options, you can also get the answer. Now, why not B? B says that relative of Mr. Paras is the person who is competent to verify the return under section 139. Now, for that, a basic understanding is required that 139 is appointment of auditor. Okay, not a person competent to verify the return. If you want to check the relevant section for a person who is competent to verify the return, it is something in Income Tax Act. Person competent to verify the return, not under the Companies Act. So by itself, the option is wrong. Again, in the question itself, there is no mention of the person competent to verify the return. It is only said that Mr. Chandra, relative of Mr. Parak, is involved in the business of trading of stocks. This does not give me any information with respect to person competent to verify the return. So by default, the option goes wrong. By anyway, it's not related. So if it is not related, I'll just remove it out. I'll cross it out. This is not a correct option. I hope I'm clear. Any doubt? Yes, for indebtedness is 5 lakh rupees. Any doubt with respect to this one? No? Let's move to the next one. With respect to the qualifications A and C specified in the audit report, kindly guide with respect to the additional reporting requirement of these matter in audit report. Now again, this is something with respect to audit report. I have marked an audit report paragraph. Okay. Now let me read the question. With respect to the qualifications of A and C specified in the audit report, kindly guide with respect to the additional reporting requirement. Okay. As per the CARO 2020, auditors are required to report these matter under reporting done in para 3.9 of order. As per section 143.3J, read with rule 11 and 11B of the Companies Act, the company's auditor and auditors rule, the auditor is required to report the or give reference of these matters. Company is not required to report these matter anywhere else except for the qualification under head of basis of qualification. Company should report these matter under the management responsibility. Now, first of all, if there is a qualification, I know by default it will not come under the head of management responsibility. Whatever you can identify a wrong answer, remove it out first of all. So that I should be left with the less choice to make to select from. So this is wrong. Remove it. Now, so I have three options A, B, and C, which one talks about CARO, one talks about audit report only section 143.3J, and one talks about that it should not be reported anywhere else except for the basis of qualification. Now let's go back to the question. Let's see what an A and C. A relates to the company not disclose the impact of pending litigation on its financial position in its financial statement. The impact of assessed pending litigation is 4.5 crore. The company has not made any provision with respect to the material foreseeable losses on long-term contracts. During the year assessment was performed, the amount of provision for material foreseeable losses on long-term contracts was estimated 7 crore, for which no provision was made. Now, this requires application of the provision, remembering the provision itself. Okay, from here you need to remember the provision. Now, if you can remember the provision, okay, what is 143.3J and rule that is specified over here, that is rule 11A, 11B. If you can remember that, then you can answer, or if you can remember what is para 3.9 of the order. Okay, so let's say for example, you know what is para 3.9 of the order. Okay, then in that case, you can at least identify with respect to what you could say, whether this is correct reporting or not, whether it is required to be reported or not. So what is para 3.9? What do you report in para 3.9 of CARO? What do you report under para 3.9 of CARO? I know both of these are related to, this is related to pending litigation. This is pending litigation. And this is related to no provision. Okay. Pending litigation and no provision. What is para 3.9 of CARO? What requirement is there with respect to para 3.9 of CARO with respect to reporting? What do you report in para 3.9? Come on, guys. What do you report in para 3.9? Come on, guys. What is required to be reported under para 3.9 of CARO? Just summary, no detail. What do you report? Correct, Sumit. Good, Janvi. See, I'll give you one more trick to answer this question. Okay, easily identify the option. When I talk about a para in CARO, in most of the cases, I'm not saying all, again, I'm not saying all, in most of the cases, the paras are related to one single topic. For example, if you see CARO para 3.1, it is related to fixed asset. Para 3.2, it's related to inventories. 3.3 related to advances. Everything is around advances. 3.4 related to other topics like compliance of 185, 186. 3.5 again public deposit. 3.6 cost record. 3.7 statutory dues. There could be multiple reporting requirements within the para. Okay, I'm not saying will not be, but the para will be around one single particular subject matter. Para 3.9 talks about repayment of dues. Now, let's say, for example, I do not know it's about repayment of dues. Para 3.9. What you can do is just one trick I'm saying to you. If there is a para 3.9, it should be about single matter, and single matter, multiple things reported to be for the single matter. Like loan, then repayment of loan, interest on loan, evergreening on loan, repayment schedule, a lot of things with related to loan. But here, one item is related to pending litigation, another item is related to the provision. They both are not the same subject matters. And they both require, if it was a reporting in the CARO, it would require two separate paras. Okay, now that is one thing. Here in the option, it is only one para which is mentioned. However, in option 2, if you see, there are two rules mentioned, rule 11A and 11B. I can, correlate something. Okay, if there are two different reportings, they are different subject matter, they might not be getting clubbed in one. By taking a chance, I can go with 11A and 11B. And actually, the answer is rule 11A and 11B. This is the correct answer. Reason because para 3.9 of the order CARO talks about repayment of loan, which is not correct. And these matters are also to be required to be reported under matters section 143 3J, and over J it is said that the other matters as may be prescribed where there is a rule 11, and 11A talks about whether the company has disclosed the impact of any pending litigations on its financial position in its financial statement. Number 2, B1, whether the company has made provision as required any law or accounting standard for material foresee losses, if any, on the long-term contracts, including derivative contracts. These are the 2 points over there. Okay. So you can say, okay, by this way, I can identify it's related to B, not A. And accordingly, you can try to give answer. And C, like, company is not required to report except the qualification. Hardly these answer comes. Hardly, like it can come, if everything is good, it will come, but it's here. In the current case, it is not. So by this way, you can, just correlate and can find the answer. Again, that will not work in all the cases. It's case to case basis. I'm not saying that, okay, these particular tricks that I'm talking to you will be applicable in all cases. In long run, for all the answer, you should know the provision. But the time when you do not remember the provision by any reason, okay, worst come scenario, you can use these tricks. Clear? Any doubt? So C is also incorrect. Correct option will be D. Oh, B. Any doubt? Did you understand what I just explained here? Yes, no. Are you understanding something with respect to this, or it's going from above? Bouncers. Yes, Jamie, correct. Good, Sumit. Thank you. Okay. So let's proceed to the next question. Now, this is with respect to the identification of fraud in the books of account of the company. Kindly guide Mr. Paras with respect to the appropriate reporting requirements in the section 143.12 of the Companies Act. I'll read the option and then I'll go to the paragraph. Option 1. Mr. Paras should have reported the matter to the audit committee within 2 days of identification of the fraud. However, Mr. Paras is valid in not reporting the issue further and it could negatively impact the image of company. Mr. Paras have reported the matter to the audit committee and board within 7 days of identification of fraud. Hence, Mr. Paras did not report to board of directors, which is inappropriate. Mr. Paras should have reported the matter to the audit committee within 2 days of identification of the fraud. And over and above, Mr. Paras should have reported this matter to the central government as the prescribed rules. Mr. Paras should have reported this matter to audit committee. Mr. Paras should have reported matter first to the central government within 2 days of identification of fraud. See, from the basic understanding of the provision, you should remember that, okay, first it's reporting to the management or audit committee, then it is reporting to the central government under section 143.12 of Company Act. So by that way, I can say option D is incorrect. By that way, I can at least say option D is incorrect. Okay. Now from ABC, I know section 143.12 requires reporting to the central government in form ADT4. Okay. There is a form ADT4 which requires reporting to the central government with respect to any fraud which has been identified. Okay. Now, if that is the case, then Mr. Paras is valid in not reporting the issue further is incorrect. By default, I can, remove it out. Okay. I removed it out because I know there is a reporting to central government in ADT4. So A will also be not there. So I have two options, B and C. B talks about reporting to audit committee and board of directors. C talks about reporting to audit committee and then reporting matter to the central government. Now, again, if I try to correlate, I can directly say C is appearing more appropriate. Okay. And if you remember the provision, it requires reporting within 2 days. By that way, I can, conclude without going to the paragraph itself that the C is correct and not the B. So matter is required to be reported to audit committee and then to central government is the correct option. So by this way, at times it will be very useful for you. You can just, look at the options, eliminate the wrong ones. No need to refer to the paragraph again. If you know the provision, if you know the exact provision. For that, you should have, understanding, and you should know the provision in detail. So correct option is C. Good Sumit, good Janvi. Any doubt with respect to this? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. Good, Namrata. Very good. Let's move to the next one. With respect to the reporting of significant deficiencies to those charged with governance, kindly guide Mr. Paras with respect to the appropriate provision in this regard. Now, there was a paragraph which is with respect to communicating to those charged with governance. Remember, I marked it here, over here. Communicating to those charged with governance. Let's see the options and then decide whether we need to go to the paragraph or not. Option 1. As per SA 315, the engagement partner shall determine which matters to be communicated to management and those charged with governance involved in the discussion. As per SA 265, the auditor shall communicate in writing significant deficiencies in internal control identified during the audit to those charged with governance on a timely basis. As per SA 315, the auditor should understand the communication between management and those charged with governance before communicating anything to those charged with governance. As per SA 450, the auditor shall communicate on timely basis critical misstatement accumulated during the audit with the appropriate level of management unless they have already communicated with the management earlier in any form. Okay. Now, again, if I read the question, that's where your presence is required. If you read the question, it is talking about reporting of significant deficiencies to those charged with governance. In this case, it's a critical misstatement. I can say I can feel this is not related as of now. Okay. I can say, okay, I can feel this is not related. I'll remove this. Okay. Now, second, so option number C. Auditors should understand communications between management and those charged with governance before communicating anything to those charged with governance. Could be. I don't know. Do not know. Again, SA 265 and 315. But if you remember even the title of the essay, by default, you can identify 315 is with respect to understanding the business. Okay. Auditor's responsibility with respect to understanding the business and, its control environment. It talks about, understanding the risk of material statement through understanding the entity, its environment, understanding the internal controls and, other aspects of the business. And if you remember by the title itself, that 265 is something which, deals with the communication to those charged with governance in case of deficiencies in internal control. Then you will be able to answer, okay, SA 265 is looking more appropriate in the current case. And it is actually the answer because SA 315, there is no such requirement as SA 315. Plus, there is no such requirement even as like C that, should understand the communication between management and those charged with governance before communicating. No. So B is the correct option in the current case, because auditor has to communicate significant deficiency. And if you go to the paragraph of the case study, over there also it is that Mr. Paras did not communicate this finding. What was the finding? Finding was that internal controls over the said area were significantly deficient. Which area? Payment and procurement and payment business process. So there was significant deficiency in the internal control which Mr. Paras did not communicate to those charged with governance. And accordingly, I can identify, okay, this is related to the question, this is related to the information, and this should be the correct answer. So the correct option is B. Correct, Janvi? Correct, Sumit? Not D. Any doubt with respect to this? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubts, then let's quickly proceed to the next and last question for this integrated case scenario. Okay. The external audit team decided to rely on and use on the work of internal audit function in the areas where more judgment was involved, or where the risk of material misstatement was assessed at the higher level. Based on the above information, kindly guide the audit team regarding the use of work of internal audit function as per SA 610 by selecting the appropriate option from below. Now, in this case, it is said that based on the above information, the information which is given in the question, so you need to read the information. Where specifically, it says that based on the above information, so you need to read the information. Okay. And then you need to decide what could be the correct option. Let's go to the information. So I have marked the information with respect to the internal audit. So Mr. Paras also identified the internal audit function reports directly to the management. One of the point could be this one. I just highlight the important keywords over here. They do not have direct communication with those charged with governance or appropriate officer or appropriate authority. Also, all the findings of internal audit function are first reported to the management, and then management decide what to report to those charged with governance. I could see that internal audit function has something with respect to, like they have to report first to management everything. Okay. Now let's go back to the options. Options are: the external auditor shall not use work of internal audit function if the external auditor determines that the internal auditor functions, organizational status, and relevant policy and procedure do not adequately support the objectivity of internal auditor. Could be the answer, I do not know yet. The external auditor shall not use the work of internal audit function if the external auditor determines that the internal audit functional, organizational structure, and relevant policies do adequately support the objectivity of internal auditor. But by reading the above information, I do not have that feeling that it's supposed. I have a negative feeling rather that it do not support, but I am not sure. So there are chances that this could not be the answer. There are chances. Again, the external auditor shall use the work of internal audit function if external auditor determines that the internal audit function applies a systematic and disciplined approach, including quality control, while discharging their duty. Again, there was no information with respect to the systematic or disciplined approach or quality control in the question. So there is a less likely chance of this to be an answer. Then the external auditor shall not use the work of internal audit function if the external auditor determines that the internal audit function does not lack sufficient competency to discharge their duties. Okay. Now, if you read this particular point D number, what you will say is shall not use. Okay, but when? If they does not lack. When they lack, it's appropriate not to use. If they lack something, and at that particular point in time, I can say, okay, let's not use the work of internal audit function because they lack the sufficient competency. But here it is said that they shall not use when it does not lack. That is the reverse. That is by itself is not the appropriate option. Okay. In that case, I can easily mark it down. For sure, this is not the correct option. Now, what to do? I have two options which I feel okay, they are less correct. A is more correct. If you read the question again, internal audit functions report directly to management. They do not have direct communication. All findings of internal functions are reported to management, and management decide what to report to those charged with governance. I could clearly see there is an issue with respect to independence and objectivity. And here, the first option says the same, that do not adequately support the objectivity of internal auditors. And at that particular point in time, we shall not use the work of internal audit function. In the above question, with the above information, I could see this is not the case. They do not adequately support the objectivity, and hence this is wrong answer. Again, as I told you, there is no discussion about the discipline and systematic approach. This is also wrong answer. So the correct option goes to A. So this is how you can try correlate the information with the options and try to identify the correct answer. Clear? Any doubt with respect to this? Any doubt, guys? Did you understand how we solved the whole case scenario, integrated case scenario? Like first I just, wrote some keyword in front of each paragraph just to have understanding, okay, what are the information which is covered in this case scenario? What are the topics which can be covered in the questions or which are, covered within the case scenario? And then one by one, I refer to that particular paragraph in relation to the provisions, referring to the rest of the options, eliminating the incorrect options, and then I reach the conclusion of the correct options. Correct, Namrata? Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? Any doubt, guys? Did you understand how we solved the case scenario? Is this beneficial to you? Do you think, approaching this way will be beneficial? Yes, no, or everything was, above the head? Anything, guys? Yes, no? Did you understand the topics or did you understand the way we resolve this case, integrated case scenario? Okay. Thank you, Jami. Thank you, Sumit. Okay. Thank you, Namrata. I want you guys to also solve case scenarios, practice it more, and you can also let me know in the next lecture how you were feeling with respect to this approach, how you whether you were able to solve the case scenario within the given time, or you were able to understand the questions, the answers, and eliminate the options, whether you were able to do it or not. The point is we should be able to do it within the given time frame. Time is very important over here. When you go in exam, you write for the paper, you need to understand what are the marks, what is what is the content of that question paper. Okay, what are the questions that you need to write about, and what are the questions you need to think, accordingly you need to plan everything. So you are given time to read the questions, you are given time to discuss, to think about the questions, and then you can choose what to write and which questions to write. Now, before moving to the next question for today, I just want to discuss with respect to question paper. Just a minute. Just give me a minute. I'll open one paper so that you guys can understand and we can discuss. Okay. This was a paper for the November 2022. Okay. Now I am showing this and discussing this paper. This is available on the website also. Now, when you receive this particular paper, okay, there are two approaches people students can follow to answer, because you have an option. If you see in the paper, you will option that it comprises of 6 questions, and one is compulsory. Out of 5, you need to answer any 4. Okay, so you need to answer any 4 out of 5. What I will suggest, I used to do in my exam times. Okay, I used to write the topic. See, first is compulsory by default. I need to answer it first. So leave it first as of now. Now, out of the 5, I need to select any 4. What I can do is, one approach, people say, okay, go as you proceed. Like for example, you don't see the paper and you just start writing the first, then move to the second and third. That's the one of the approach. But what I used to follow is, I used to write at least, I used to think of, okay, this is the topic for this particular question. Okay, let's say for example, this question second A. Now this is with related to, I can see this is, when I read, I will come to know this is with related to materiality. Then I'll read the next question. Okay. Then I can say, okay, this is something related to the, when I'll read, I'll relate it to it. Okay, this is something with respect to consolidation. Okay. Or, if you see here, please mention any 5 aspects which are given in the notes to separate financial statement or the parent and subsidiary need not to be included in the consolidated financial statement. So again, related to CFS. Then you have been requested to carry out forensic audit. So you need to provide difference between forensic and other audit. So it was forensic and other difference. Fine. Then I'll move to the next question. Okay. Whether a statutory auditor can take internal auditors assistance, I can just see, okay, this is internal auditor related topic. Then again, when you see here, the next one is enumerate any 5 focal points when auditing in the automated environment. So it is again automated environment related question. Then you can see, okay, this is chartered accountant schedule professional ethics. Number 4, internal control in the area of credit card operations. This is bank plus internal controls. Then you can see again code of ethics related. Okay, professional ethics. While evaluating the risk and control at the entity level, the auditor should take cognizance of the prevalent direct and indirect entity level controls, ELC related questions. Examples of few ELCs. Okay, then discuss how this question is related again to disclosure of related party transaction. Okay, so I can say, okay, this is something with related to incorrect disclosure of related party transaction, misstatement, incorrect disclosure. Then again, next question is with respect to compliance of section 131, 139, 140, and you want to report the above matters to the CARO, but management requests you not to report. Comment with respect to the auditor's response to the management and his reporting requirement to the shareholders. So I could link, okay, this is something with related to CARO and company's audit. This is again, remember, this is with respect to the due diligence valuation of TP Limited. You need to perform due diligence and you need to provide some factors for the future maintainable sales. This is NBFC CIC. Then peer review. Then you have an option over here in 2. Okay. So this one is with respect to the audit program. Mr. Raju finalized the audit program and audit program wanted to reconsider the same during the course of audit. Discuss a few circumstances where the audit program would have been suitably uttered by the auditor. Okay. Audit program. And then the next one is professional misconduct, again professional ethics. So by reading in detail, the time that you get, you read the questions in detail. Okay. And you can mark down, okay, some of the topics from on which questions are there. Now I need to select any 4 out of 5. This understanding of the question will help me to select. You can, identify, okay, this is materiality, I can answer. CFS, I can answer. Forensic, I can answer. Good question to go. No issues. Internal audit, I can answer. Automated environment, professional ethics. Automated environment, let's say, okay, somewhat able to answer, but professional ethics, good to answer. I can go. Internal controls for banks, professional ethics, and ELC. If you think 2 of them I could not answer, only one I can answer, then you can keep it on hold, this one. Move to next one. Material statement plus incorrect disclosure. If you think you can answer, good. CARO Companies Act, if you can answer, good. Okay, then due diligence again. And then option number 6, if you think you can answer all of these, then fine. You can, just think about, okay, I will not go with the 4. Rather, I will focus upon 5 and 6. And then you can start your paper. Okay. From 1 and 2, then 3, then when it comes to 4, instead of 4, you'll opt 5 and 6. So by this way, you can, pre-plan. And again, you need to consider the time when you are writing your exam. Okay. For example, if this question is for 5 marks, I cannot write on this question for an hour. Understand that thing that you have to, write answers for so many questions. Rather than writing same line, same sentence, rephrasing, paraphrasing same sentence multiple times will not give you the marks. No. You need to write answer to the point, to the word, or the thing which is asked for. Now, for example, in this case, if it is asked, discuss the issues that need to be addressed before deciding to withdraw. Okay, you need to write about this particular topic rather than writing about other thing. Okay, what is the auditor's responsibility in other areas or something like that. Okay, so if it is being asked, discuss the issues that need to be addressed, write it that only, point to answer, and then you proceed further to the next question. Now, if here, comment with respect to standards on auditing relating to the confirmation process and how to deal non-listed. Now, for example, if you know this confirmation is with respect to which topic, write to the point answer. Okay. Do not write same sentence again and again. Do not try to, okay. When you write answer to a question, we have seen, what we do is we describe the provision, we provide some background about the case scenario and then correlate and then give the conclusion. Okay. But at times, do not just go with respect to the correlation, that you bring so much of big paragraph with respect to the correlation that, the reader or your time itself goes into, that much writing. You need to write to the point where, you can show appropriate correlation. Even from the case study, I need to show appropriate correlation. So to the point, I'll show correlation. To the point, I'll show the case scenario, and then I'll write the conclusion. That will be more appropriate way to write the answer, because in the given time scenario, you need to specify the provisions, you need to specify the relevant things which are there. Always make informed choices in with respect to selection of the question. Informed choice. I used to make that informed choice. For example, when I'm writing a question, okay, I know that I have these many questions left, but do not panic. Do not panic. Okay. Reason, because you need to be focusing on the question when you are. Some people, tend to think about next question or next to next question, what they will be writing while writing a current question. Some people used to do that. Okay, my friends used to, when they were writing this particular question, while writing, they used to think, okay, I will write this in that question also. Don't do that. Focus on the current question which you are writing about. Focus on the answer of the current question. When you will come to that particular point, you can write. Okay, suddenly if you come across a point which you think can be relevant for the question which is about to come, just write a keyword somewhere. So that when you see the keyword, you will remember that thing again and you continue forward. Okay. Focus on the question. And one more important thing is, when you are reading the question, pay attention to each and every word. Each and every word. Reason, because what will happen is, for example, if I show you in previous example. Okay. In this case, we can say in this particular 14 number case, okay, by just focusing on the words of the question, like it is talking about reporting of significant deficiencies. Here it is something with related to critical misstatement. Okay, accumulated during the audit. I can, just say that, okay, this is not relevant. This option is not appropriate with respect to the current scenario. So by just reading and focusing on each and every word, I can just, either in the MCQs, I can, take out the incorrect options. Plus, when I'm writing the questions, I will be, more focused on what I need to write. Do not forget what is asked from you to write on the answer. Okay. So for example, I'll show you one question where which we already discussed, okay, in our previous lecture, this one. Now, most of the students, what they do is, when they are reading this question, they read, okay, manufacturing of manufacturing of garments entrusted you to carry out due diligence. So they fit in the mind, okay, due diligence. I need to write something about due diligence. The valuation of TP is dependent on future maintainable sales. Discuss the factor that you will consider in assessing the future maintainable sales of TP. But in hurry, they either do not focus on this keyword, what is asked, or they just start writing with respect to the due diligence. In due diligence, what is the due diligence? Responsibility of auditor in due diligence, or responsibility of professional in due diligence. So they write about essay on the due diligence, but when what is asked is more important. Discuss the factors. You need to discuss the factors, not the due diligence. So again, you need to focus on what is being asked in the exam. Okay. So make an informed choice of your questions. It's very, very important. Number 2, read question thoroughly. Read question in detail. Focus on each and every word. Number 3, read what is you are required to write. Like read what is asked in the question, what you need to write. Okay, rather than the topic, what you need to write in the question. Sometimes, if a question contains more details, there will be a chance that you start thinking on some other track. For example, this one. You are appointed as the auditor of XMP Private Limited for the financial year 21-22 after the recognition of RS Chartered Accountant as the statutory auditor of the company. RS had certain concern on the accounting matters of the company, leading to change of auditors. All the complaints under section 139 and 140 are made by the company with respect to resignation and appointment of auditor. Okay. By the time people read this, start building, something in the mind. Okay, this could be with respect to the resignation. What are the provisions of resignation? Section 139, 140, like this way. But do not, just do that. Read the portion thoroughly first, and then you think, okay, what is being asked? Now, here in the last, it is asked that you want to report the above matters in the CARO, but management requests you to not to report them. Comment with respect to the auditor's response to the management and his reporting requirement to the shareholders. So second one is, during the course of audit, it came to your notice that the survey has been conducted on 7 December 2021 by Income Tax Department, and department unearthed unrecorded sales of 5 lakh which has been made in cash on different dates of 21-22. XMP Private Limited has purchased the gold from such collection and these transactions are not recorded. Company surrendered and disclosed these transactions before the assessing officer and paid taxes thereon. However, the company has not recorded these transactions in the books of account even after surrendering before the income tax authorities. So when you will read, you will come to know, okay, these are two different scenarios and the question which is asked is relevant to these two different scenarios. Accordingly, once you read the question, you will come to know what is asked. Now, again, I want to highlight one more important thing that, which is mostly done. Now, if I take this example of this only question, this one, okay. Now, this again, I can see there is something with respect to the CARO reporting. You want to report above matters in the CARO. You can give the reference, okay, this is there in the CARO. So you will, provide the details and everything. Okay. And accordingly, you need to consider the case scenario. Now, some people might have a question. What if we are not able to remember the clause number at the time when we want to report? Okay. Now, at that particular point in time, when you are not able to remember the clause number, what you need to do is, could be a scenario, could be a chance that you are not able to remember the clause number, but that is not an alternative. You will not get the marks for that particular, because mentioning the clause number also contains, have some marks on that. So we will not get the marks, but do not get panic in the exam. Write what you remember. Okay. Write in a clear terms that you remember so that the reader can understand what you have written. Do not try to, write in such a way that the, reader get confused whether he knows the clause number or not. So some of the answers, somewhere, people try to write in a confusing way, or even I have seen, people using the tricks, writing the clause number in such a way that is not readable. Do not perform any such tricks or, or activities. Try to write your answer in a clear way so that the reader can understand. If it is, you are not able to remember the clause number, yes, there will be deduction of the marks. You will not get the marks for that particular thing, but you will get the marks for whatever rest of the answer you have written. So it is important to remember the clause number, but it is, trying any other trick instead of writing the clause number will not get you marks. Trust me. So be clear with your answers when you are writing it. I hope these all tips and whatever we have discussed today will help you in writing the answers in exam. Any doubt, any questions you guys have with this? Any doubt, any question? Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? No? No doubts? No questions? Okay. No issues. In the next lecture also, you can ask your doubts, you can ask your questions, and we'll continue the session in the next lecture. Okay. Where we will be discussing more questions, more things on the exam, how to write an answer, some more, tips for you guys, some more, some ways to, prepare for the exam. I will be coming with that in the next lecture. Okay. If no further doubt, then thank you guys. Thank you for participating in today's lecture. Please provide your feedback, whether you need something else, whether you need, something from us. That is very important for us. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next lecture.